thank you for listening to this episode of Changes Big and Small. This is your host, Damian. Today it's just me on the microphone. And I want to talk about getting what you want. My last episode was about habits, resolutions, or goals. And I heard back from some of you that you don't know what you want. I have good news for you. Sometimes, to me, it seems that everybody else has figured it out. That everybody else knows exactly what they want and they're going for it. I remember many years ago, I was still in my 20s. I met a friend in Paris. We hadn't seen each other for a while, and as we sat having coffee, she told me about her dreams. She told me that she wanted children, she wanted to be married, and she told me precisely the organization that she wanted to work for. Now, she has all of those things. I think that there is something powerful about knowing what you want and going for it. But some of us are not built that way. Some of us are more exploratory. We want to see what's out there. We want to experience many different things. We don't want to commit to one particular path. And when that happens, it's very easy to stay in I don't know land. That can feel very comfortable. But my teacher, life coach Brooke Castillo, says that this land is the land of the miserable maybe. And the reason we call it the miserable maybe is because when you're there, you're not doing so many other things that you may want to do. You're not spending energy on the places that you want to go, on the things that you want to do. Many years ago, 20 years ago now, I was finishing Teachers College in Ottawa, Canada, and deciding what to do next. At the time, there weren't a lot of jobs in Ontario for a math teacher, even for a computer science teacher. And I needed to find a full-time job so that I could start paying back my student loans. It's amazing to me to look back now because I had no idea of the opportunities that were open to me, that were available to me. But I went online and I did research, and I found out that there was a job fair in Toronto. It said that new teachers were welcome, but unlikely to find a job, and I didn't let that stop me. I went to the job fair, I had a few interviews, and I left there with 3 job offers. A job in Trinidad, a job in Colombia, and one in India. I didn't know which of those to choose, but I had this sense of excitement. There was fear, certainly, but the bigger feeling for me when I had this opportunity was one of excitement. And somehow I decided, I could go into it, but this is going to make this episode too long. Somehow I decided that I wanted to go to India, that I was going to go to India. And so I accepted the job. I can't tell you how excited I was. I had never traveled anywhere on my own. I'd never lived away from home, but I was looking forward to this opportunity. In order for me to apply for my visa, I needed to have a flight ticket. So I bought a flight ticket with a stop in Malaysia because it was on Malaysian Airlines. And I was going to go to KL and to the highlands and to the beach. I had a 8-day itinerary planned out. I went through the process to apply for a working visa in India. I had an appointment in person, and I was told by the interviewer that I would be approved for the visa and that I would be called when it was time to pick it up. And so I think, okay, I'm going to be living in a few weeks. I think it was about 3 weeks from then, maybe a month. And so I was excited that I would be going on this trip. Not only was I going for a new job, but I was going to have this vacation that looked amazing. I'd planned it all on my own. And then 5 minutes from home, I got a call as I was still driving. I pulled over, I answered the phone, and it was the Indian embassy. And the person on the phone told me that I needed to come back and get my passport because they would not be approving my visa. Can you imagine? I did not know what to do. I asked if there was any reason why my visa was denied, and I was told that it was their prerogative and they didn't have to tell me anything. And so I turned my car around and I drove back across town and went to get my passport. And I called the school and told them that I had been denied the visa. And then I sat in this state of limbo for a couple of weeks. The school was trying to figure out what they could do on their end, and I started to look for jobs again. But how do you look for jobs somewhere else when you already have a job offer and you really want that job offer? I'm a person who likes to have plan A and plan B and plan C, and so I did start interviewing again, and I did have a potential job offer, but I wasn't excited about it. And I kept talking to India, and somehow, I don't know what they did, but somehow they managed to get the Indian embassy to change their decision, and I got the visa. But I needed to change everything about my trip. I no longer had enough time to stop in Malaysia. I had to buy a new ticket, and I had to fly directly to Bangalore rather than stopping anywhere. And that was the beginning of an adventure where I've lived overseas in multiple different countries for the past 20 years. I would never have imagined this life. I didn't know this life was possible then. And so for me, it's worked really well to kind of explore and be open and see what might be available to me. And for that reason, I'm kind of a proponent of two things. I'm a proponent of saying yes to a number of different experiences, trying lots of different things out and seeing what sticks for you, what you really enjoy, and taking action. Because that's how you get to know more about yourself. That's how you get to realize more of what's available to you. And that's also an energizer. The second thing that I'm a proponent of is flipping a coin. And by that I mean making a decision. At the start of this episode, I said that I have a solution if you don't know what you want. And this is it. If you don't know what you want, the good news is that you get to decide. You get to decide what you want. My flip a coin method is if I have two choices, I pick one, I go all in, and I see what happens. This is what I did with staying in the Czech Republic or going back to Canada. I decided to go all in and see what happened if I tried to learn enough Czech for permanent residence. If I got permanent residence, I would stay. And if I didn't, I would move back to Canada. So by flip a coin, I mean give yourself two choices. If this, then that. If not, the other one. For the first option, you give it your all to make it happen. For me, there were pros to both options. I was interested in both options, and I didn't decide on one. But I was already living in the Czech Republic, and so I thought, okay, my flip of a coin here is give it my all to try to stay in the Czech Republic to get permanent residence. If that doesn't work, I'm going to move back to Canada. Both of those things are actually going to be interesting to me. But the one that took more work, the one that I wanted to try, was actually staying in the Czech Republic. If you don't like the idea of taking a chance like that, there are other things that you can do to help you decide. Some people like to pray, some people like to meditate, some people like to think about it, some people like to talk to all of their friends. I think that you could get calm, you could get quiet, and you could get in touch with what it is that you want. I'm not a proponent of talking to everybody else because often other people have agendas for you. I'm more a fan of getting quiet, sitting, thinking, deciding, choosing. And so what does this look like? You don't know where to live? Where is that coming from? Is it that you don't like where you currently live? If that's the case, decide on somewhere else. Check if it has the things that you are interested in. Check in with yourself whether or not you're excited about it. There will be fear. There will be uncertainty. But do you have this emotion that is positive that drives you to take that action? And for me, that's excitement. For you, it could be excitement. It could be curiosity. It could be interest. It could be intrigue. It could be enthusiasm. Any of these emotions. It could be love. In one of my former episodes, one of my guests said that the opposite of fear is not courage, it's love. It could be love for yourself. It could be love for humanity. It could be love for family. It could be love of your job or a new career opportunity. And then once you decide, you go for it. When you make a decision down the line, you can make a decision again. If you build a skill, if you build a habit of making decisions, you will get better at making them. And so making a new decision is not going to scare you because you'll know that you can make another decision if and when you need to. So you know that I like to give an invitation or a challenge in every episode. And so in this episode, start with something really small. If you tend to be the person who says, I don't know what I want to eat, I'm not sure where I want to go for vacation, I invite you to decide. Decide what you want to cook today. Decide what you want to eat for your next meal intentionally. If you've been thinking of a trip, decide where you want to go. Start looking into it. See if it excites you. If it doesn't, choose a new place. But we're building the skill of decision making because then that works everywhere else in your life. You always get to decide. Isn't that good news? I hope it is for you, because it was for me when I realized that deciding is a proxy for knowing. I don't know, I can decide, go all in and see what my results are. And then what happens next? I get to make a new decision. And that's also available to you. I'm kind of figuring out what to do next with the podcast. How often do I want to do episodes? Usually when I do an episode with a guest, it can take me 4 to 6 hours from beginning to end. I've been focused on some other things, so that's why I haven't been doing episodes every week. But I will start doing some more episodes because I love podcasting. And so I've made a decision that I am going to podcast again more often. Maybe not as long seasons as before, maybe not every week as before, but there will be regular episodes available. Part of what I'm working on right now has to do with a coaching certification. And so I actually have an offer for you. If you are feeling a bit stuck in your life, if you're having trouble deciding or choosing something, then go to changesbigandsmall.com/free for 10 simple actions that you could do to get unstuck. Once you sign up for that free offer to get unstuck, you will also have a chance for a free 30-minute coaching session with me. So once again, that's changesbigandsmall.com/free. I'll see you there. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you've enjoyed it or if it's made you think, share it with someone else who you think can benefit. Remember, change begins with one small step. Have a great week.